Hello there, friends. Welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 220, and something a little different today. We are not in the dugout, as you can see. I am on location. Why, you ask? Well, this is a shopping center called Kings Village. It's a strip mall, and it's located just off Pennsylvania Route 901 between Minersville, which is just over that hill there, and the city of Pottsville, which is about a mile and a half or so down Route 901 to the southeast. Pottsville, the home of Yuengling beer, and the Schuylkill County seat. So why am I here? Well, this shopping center many years ago was a high school athletic field called Minersville Park. And it was here at Minersville Park that a new NFL franchise, the Pottsville Maroons, used to play their home games. This place only held about 5,000 people to watch a sporting event, but Pottsville would play these games here on Sundays. Now, Pennsylvania had a blue law, or blue laws, I should say, that prohibited businesses from operating on Sundays. I even remember that into the early 70s, with bars and restaurants being closed on Sunday, and local mom and pop grocery stores were open until noon so people could get their Sunday papers and maybe some last minute items for Sunday dinner. But anyway, the NFL wasn't allowed to play in Pennsylvania on Sundays back in those days. So the team in the Philadelphia area, Frankford Yellow Jackets, that's a neighborhood of Philadelphia, they used to play their games on Saturday, and Pottsville ignored the blue laws, and the local law enforcement did not find them or enforce those laws, probably because Sunday was the only day that the coal miners didn't work, and these teams in the NFL back in these early days really relied on attendance for survival. So the Maroons played their home games here, but on this date 100 years ago they played the Chicago Cardinals for the NFL championship. And there's a sign here that says Maroons Field, and I'll read to you what it says. On this field, early history was made in the National Football League. The NFL Pottsville Maroons played the greatest NFL teams in the country from 1925 to 1928. On December 6, 1925, 100 years ago, they played the Chicago Cardinals for the championship, winning 21-7. That was at Comiskey Park in Chicago. They lost the NFL title due to a territorial dispute by playing the Notre Dame Four Horsemen team in Shibe Park, Philadelphia on December 12, 1925. So that's the Reader's Digest version of the story. There's a lot of controversy, contention, and conflicting reports on what really happened. And I see both sides of the story, but me being a skook, which is what we like to call ourselves here in Schuylkill County, I would love to see the Maroons get that title reinstated. I don't anticipate it ever happening. They tried in 1963 and again in 2003, and both times the NFL owners voted to not reopen the case. Now in the 2003 vote, two franchises did side with the Maroons, and of course that was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And one last thing about that game that caused them to lose the championship. They could have played it here in Minersville Park, but this field only holding 5,000 seats, it wouldn't have been advantageous financially to play it here. College football was much more popular than the NFL back in those days, and this was expected to be a big draw. So the game was moved to Shibe Park in Philadelphia, and unfortunately they only got about 8,000 or 8,500 people to come and see it. Might have been something to do with the weather, I don't know. But the team that filed the territorial dispute with the NFL was the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, who played in Philadelphia, in the Frankfurt neighborhood. And the Yellow Jackets would fold and eventually sort of morph into the Philadelphia Eagles that we know today. If you remember back in the 90s, one of those throwback weekends, the Eagles were wearing blue and yellow uniforms. Well, that was for the Yellow Jackets. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick replay of the 1925 Pottsville Maroons season when I get back to the dugout. See you then. Okay, so we've returned to the dugout, and to do this season replay, we're going to use Mike Owens' Quick Play Football. That's a game brought to you by the same man who created the popular Quick Play Pro Football, or Pro Hockey. Sorry, Quick Play Pro Hockey is a pretty popular game. All of Mike Owens' Quick Play games are available on the Sports Replay website. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. This particular version that I'm using was compiled by Peter Miller, another prolific YouTuber, mostly concentrating on hockey cards and dice replays. Okay, so we'll go through all these games. I'm going to go through the first one with a little bit more detail to show you how the mechanics work for this game, and then we'll kind of just run through the rest of them. So the game comes with team ratings going all the way back to 1920, and I think up to 2014 maybe. So you get a score sheet, which I filled out pre-game on the computer. You also get a scoring chart, 2 scoring charts, a close game factor, a set of charts, and there's also a quick reference, sort of a user guide. All right, so the way you do this is you take the 2 teams' ratings for both offense and defense. In this case, Buffalo has an offense of -1, and their defense is 8. Pottsville has an offense of 19 and a defense of -1. So you take one team's offense against the opponent's defense, add them together, come up with a total. So in this case for Buffalo, it would be -2, right? -1 plus another -1 is -2. But then you subtract 2 more for the visitors, giving them a -4. And Pottsville is 19 plus 8, 27. And then you add 2 to the home team, giving them a 29. Now, Pottsville played 12 games that year. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So when you get these totals, you then look on the scoring chart to determine the team's scoring class for that game based on their total points. Okay, so in this first game, Buffalo is a Z and Pottsville is a B. Z being the lowest you can be as far as class for that game, and the highest you can be is AA. Okay, and then we just conduct 4 rolls for each team, 1 for each quarter, total up the scores, and we see who the winner is. There is a close game factor if the score is within a touchdown and an extra point. In 1925, extra points were only 1 point, but they could be run, kicked, passed, even quick kick to score that 1 point. I believe it was from the 5-yard line back then. All right, so we're going to do these games. Like I said, a little bit more detail on the first one. So the first game in Minersville Park, the Buffalo Bisons visit. They're a rated Z. Pottsville's a B. First quarter for the Bisons, we roll a 20. Under the Z, that's 0. Okay, Pottsville as a B, we roll a 2. And that is a conditional result, 0/3. Results of 0-3 are situational. In the first 3 quarters, record 3 points for a scoreless team, 0 points otherwise. In the fourth quarter, record 7 points for a scoreless team, 0 points otherwise. So Pottsville scores 3 in the first quarter. Another thing I should mention, if you look through the close game factors for Pottsville, they're all either negative or in one case 0. So they're going to have trouble in close games. All right, so next roll for Buffalo is a 2 under Z, and that's also a 0. Pottsville second quarter, roll a 10 under B, and that's 7. So Pottsville leads 10-0 at halftime. Third quarter for Buffalo under Z is a 13, and that's another 0. Third quarter for Pottsville is a 16 under B, and that's 17 points. So they're now up 27-0. It's not high enough to use what they call a clock killer rule. You have to be up by 31 or more at halftime or at the end of the third quarter. And it would lower some scoring chances for the team ahead, just to simulate the fact that they're probably trying to run the clock out. All right, fourth quarter for Buffalo. We roll an 8 under Z, and they score 6 points. Pottsville's final roll is an 18 under B, and that's a conditional 7. It's a 7 with an asterisk. In the fourth quarter, if leading by 28 or more points after the third quarter, score 0 points. So they were leading by 27. So they don't score 0 points. They score 7. So it's 27. They end up winning this one 34-0. The game which they won in real life 28-0. So their record is 1-0. All right, so I'm going to just kind of go a little bit quicker through the rest of these. All right, next game is at Myersville Park on October the 4th, and they're facing the Providence Steamroller. 17 for Providence, who is a Z. 17 is a 0. Pottsville is a C in this game. They roll a 20. 20 is 13. Second quarter for Providence, they roll a 4 under Z. It's also a 0. Pottsville in the second rolls a 16 under C. That's a 0. So Pottsville leads 13-0 at halftime. Third quarter for Providence, under Z they roll a 5. That's a 0. Pottsville, third quarter, roll a 3 under C, and that's 6. So they lead 19-0 after 3. Final roll for Providence, under Z is a 7, and that's all. They pitch another shutout with this other 0. And Pottsville in the final period, under C, 17 is 7 more. So they win this one 26-0. This is a game they lost 6-0 in real life. So they are 2-0. They finished 10-2 that season. And I failed to mention that game against the Notre Dame Four Horsemen All-Stars. They won that game 9-6. Okay, so game 3, it's Canton visiting Pottsville, Myersville Park on the 11th of October. Canton is a Z, Pottsville is a C. First period for Canton, first quarter, it's 13. That's a 0. First quarter for Pottsville under C is a 19. And that's 3. So 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter for Canton is an 11 under Z, and that's an X check. Okay, so we're going to get to look at the X chart, excuse me. So in the X chart, you roll the D20 again. If it's 1 to 12, you use the scoring numbers here. If it's 13 to 20, you roll again with the D20 and use the X chart. So we roll a 3. Okay, so a 3, we're going to use the scoring here. Now, Canton is a Z, so G or lower gets 7 points. So Pottsville gives up their first points of the season, and right now, as of right now, they're trailing 7-3. Now Pottsville rolls a 5 under C, and that's 3. So at halftime, they're losing 7-6. Third quarter for Canton, we roll a 4 under Z. That's a 0. And for Pottsville, we roll a 17 under C, and that's 7. So now Pottsville leads 13-7 going into the fourth quarter. Providence in the fourth quarter rolls a 13 under Z. That's a 0. So we'll see if the close game factor is used in this one. Final quarter, under C, Pottsville rolls a 12, and that's 10 points. So scoring those 10 points in the fourth quarter prevents us from using the close game factor. So Pottsville wins this one 23-7. The game they won 28-0, all right, in real life. So they go to 3-0. All right, next game, Pottsville travels to Providence on Sunday, October 18th. And this game was played at a place called the Cyclodrome. It was a park built for bicycle racing that they kind of stuffed a football field in the middle of. And the corners of the stadium cut into the end zone, so the end zones at this stadium were only 5 yards deep. All right, kind of interesting. So Pottsville is an E on the road in this game, and Providence is an H. So Pottsville will roll first under E. They roll a 20, and they score 7. Steamroller, 6 under H is a conditional 7. Record 7 points except in the following conditions, and those conditions are second, third, and fourth quarters, so they do score 7. So we're tied at 7 after the first quarter. Second quarter, Pottsville rolls a 6 under E, and that's 10 points. Providence, a 7 under H is an X check. All right, so they're going to score some points here probably. So we roll a 5, and 5 for an H team is 7 points. So at halftime, Pottsville leads 17-14. Third quarter for Pottsville, a 3 under E. It's 3 points. So they lead 20-14. Providence in the third, a 15 under H is 0. All right, so Pottsville leads 20-14 after 3. Pottsville in the final quarter, 18 under E, 0. And Providence, final quarter, is a 4 under H. They score 3. All right, so now the score is 20-17, and the close game factor is going to be in effect. Now, when you do this, you first roll for the team that's behind. If they were tied, you'd roll for the home team first, but in this case, it's Providence who's behind. They get a +6 on the close game modifier. So we're going to roll the D20 and add 6 to it. 4 + 6 is 10. All right, so 10 says they have a chance for a field goal with a -1 modifier. So we'll roll under the field goal attempt column and subtract 1. But there's also an asterisk, which means Pottsville gets a chance to try to score if they, again, they get the ball with a little time left on the clock. All right, so this is a -1 for the field goal attempt. We roll a 1, and the field goal is blocked. Now, there is no provision to see if a blocked field goal can be returned for a touchdown, I don't believe. But all the same, Providence's score doesn't change. And we'll roll fourth quarter, or the close game factor for Pottsville. They're a -6 in close games, or in this close game, they're a -6. So that's going to be 0 and no chance. So the final score is Pottsville 20 and Providence 17. Again, Pottsville won 34-0, but in this replay, it's 20-17, and they go to 4-0. All right, Game 5, back at Minersville Park. They're facing Columbus. Columbus is a Z, Pottsville a B. Columbus first quarter, they roll a 1 under Z, that's a 0. First quarter for Pottsville rolls a 17 under B, that's 14. Okay, second quarter for Columbus, 13 under Z, it's also a 0. Second quarter for Pottsville, 2 under B is 0-3 conditional. If leading by score 7 points, except in the following conditions. Well, we're in the second quarter. If leading by 17 or more, score 0 points. Well, they're leading by 14, so they do score a touchdown here. And it's 21-0 at halftime. Third quarter for Columbus, and we roll a 5 under Z. It's a 0. Third quarter for Pottsville, a 4 under B is 7. 28-0 going into the final quarter. 12 under Z for Columbus is 3 points. So they're not shut out. They get a field goal in the fourth quarter. Pottsville rolls an 11 under B. Yes, B. And that's an X. So we'll roll the X chart die. We roll a 17. That means we're going to actually roll on the X chart. We roll a 13 under B. And that's a big 21 points in the fourth quarter. So they poured it on. 28, 35, 45, 49-3. The game they won 20-0 in real life, and they go to 5-0. All right. Now the Akron Pros come to Pottsville on Sunday, November 8th at Minersville Park. Akron is a Z, Pottsville is a D in this game. Pottsville did play 12 games, or had 12 games scheduled, or excuse me, 14 games scheduled at least. And 2 of them had to be canceled. One of them was against the Dayton Triangles, I believe they were called. That was canceled due to the field being flooded out, heavy rains. And I can vouch to this day, the parking lot at that shopping center, if the rains are really heavy, has some serious flooding because of the stream that runs behind the strip mall. Okay, and the other game that was canceled was against the New York Giants. The Giants apparently had been bitten by the injury bug and didn't have enough players to field a full team, so that game was never rescheduled. Okay, so Akron Pros, Z in the first quarter, roll a 17. That's a 0. Pottsville, D this time out, rolls a 20, and that's 7. So they lead 7-0. Second quarter for Akron, 15 under Z. It's a field goal. Pottsville in the second quarter, 1 under D is a 0. So at halftime, Pottsville leads 7-3. Third quarter, Akron rolls a 14 under Z, and that's a conditional 7. Score 7 points except in the following conditions. Well, they're not leading. They're trailing, or they were trailing, because now they lead 10-7. Pottsville. Third quarter rolls a 2 under D, and they score 10 points. So now they're up 17-10. Dayton, final period, final quarter, rolls a 20. That's a 0. So they end up with 10. Pottsville rolls an 8 under D, and that's 6. So Pottsville wins this one by more than 7, so we don't activate the close game factor, and they win it 23-10. The game which they won 21-0 in real life and improved to 6-0. All right, now they're on the road down to Philadelphia to face the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. Game played at Frankfurt Stadium in Philadelphia. Okay, so Yellow Jackets are a D, or excuse me, Maroons are a D, Yellow Jackets are a Z. So Pottsville goes first. 12 under D is a 7 conditional, but it's the first quarter, so they score 7. Frankfurt under Z rolls a 6. That's a 0. Second quarter for Pottsville. 15 under D is 3. Second quarter for Frankfurt. 15 under Z is also 3. So it's 10-3 Pottsville at the half. Third quarter for Pottsville. 7 under D is another touchdown and conversion, so they have 17 now. And the Yellow Jackets roll a 6 under Z, and that's a 0. So going into the fourth quarter, Pottsville leads 17-3. And they roll first and roll a 9 under D. That's a 0. So Pottsville finishes the game with 17. We got an 8 under Z, and that's 6. So score now is 17-6. That is not within a touchdown and conversion. That would be 7 points. So Pottsville wins this one. Or excuse me, 17-9. 17-9. So a close one. A game they won 20-0 in real life has them improved to 7-0. All right, so they go back home, 15th of November, Minersville Park, and they face the Rochester Jeffersons. Rochester's a Z, Pottsville's a B. First quarter for Rochester, 19 under the Z is a 0. Second quarter for Pottsville, or first quarter for Pottsville, under the B, an 11 is an X check. So we roll a 16. That means we're going to go to the X chart. And a B, an 11, is 17 points. So they take a big early lead. Rochester rolls a 14 under Z. That's a 7 conditional. We are in the second quarter. So if leading, okay, it only applies if you're leading, and so they score 7. So right now it's 17-7. Pottsville in the second quarter under B, they roll a 4. That's another touchdown. So it's 24-7 at halftime. Third quarter for Rochester, they roll a 10 under Z. That's a 0. Third quarter for Pottsville, an 11 under B is another X check. So we roll a 20, so we're going to use the chart. We roll a 19. 19 under B is 13. So now they lead by 30. And that still does not institute the clock killer rule. Or excuse me, they lead by 37, so it does. We do use the clock killer rule. All right, so we'll look at this chart here. So fourth quarter for Rochester is a 12 under Z, and that's 3 points. Okay, so here it says if they're trailing by greater than 3 points, they score a touchdown. Okay, so that's what they're going to score here. It's going to give them 14. And we'll roll for Pottsville. Roll a 12 under B. And that's 10 points. But we look at the clock killer rule. They only scored 7. So because they would have scored between 8 and 14, that gets changed to a 7 just to sort of simulate them taking their time, running the clock out. But it's still a major victory. 27, 37, 44 to 14. And they won this game 14 to 6. And they go to 8-0. All right, game 9. The 22nd of November, 1925. And it's Cleveland coming to town to face the Maroons. Cleveland is a Z, Pottsville is a C. So Cleveland, first quarter, 13. 13 under Z is a 0. Pottsville, first quarter, under C, 15 is 14 points. Second quarter for Cleveland is an 11 under Z. It's an X check. Roll a 17, so we're going to look at the X chart and the Z column. Roll a 3, and they score 7. So it's 14-7. Pottsville in the second quarter, 20 under C is 13. So they're up 27-7 at half. 7 under Z is a 0 in the third quarter for Cleveland. Third quarter for Pottsville. So 14 under C. It's an X check. So that's a 13. You got to roll under the X chart. An 18 under C. 17. So now the clock killer rule will go into effect because they lead 44-7. All right. So Cleveland in the fourth rolls a 5 under Z. That's a 0. And Pottsville in the fourth rolls an 18 under C. That's a 0, so they didn't score anyway. So this one ends up 44-7. And now they're 9-0. Okay, so just a few days later, it's Thanksgiving, November 26, 1925, and the Green Bay Packers come to town at Minersville Park. Green Bay is a Z, Pottsville a C. Green Bay first quarter rolls a 9-0. Pottsville rolls a 12 under C. It's 10 points. Second quarter. Green Bay 17 under Z, 0. Pottsville second quarter. 12 under C. It's 10 more points. 20-0 at halftime. Green Bay 3 under Z is a 0-3 conditional. First 3 quarters score 3 points for a scoreless team. So they get a field goal. It's 20-3. Pottsville 16 under C. It's a 0. 20-3 going into the fourth quarter. 19-0 under Z for Green Bay. And mathematical here. 13 under C is 7. So they win this one 27-3. The game that they won 31-0 in real life, and they go to 10-0. I'm surprised they haven't lost one. They haven't really had any close games except for that one, and it worked in their favor. Okay, so Frankfurt Yellow Jackets come to town. Minersville Park, November 29th, 1925. Yellow Jackets are a Z, Pottsville is a C. Yellow Jackets, first quarter, roll of 5. It's a 0. 6 under C for Pottsville is 10. 10-0 after 1. Second quarter, 11 under Z. It's an X check for the Yellow Jackets, who roll a 2. So they are a Z in this game, so they get 7 points. So it's 10-7. 11 under C for Pottsville is 0. So a close one at half. Pottsville leads 10-7. Third quarter for Frankfurt is a 20 under Z. That's a 0. Third quarter for Pottsville is a 2 under C. And that's a big 17. So that's going to take this probably out of close game factor. Pottsville leads 27-7 going into the fourth quarter. Frankfurt rolls a 10 under Z, and that's a 0. And fourth quarter for Pottsville, they roll a 17 under C, and that's another 7 points. So 34-7. And they go to 11-0. All right, so here's the big one. 100 years ago today, December 6th, 1925, Comiskey Park, Chicago. It's the Pottsville Maroons facing the Chicago Cardinals. Pottsville is an F in this game, and the Cardinals are a G. So Pottsville goes first under the F column, rolls a 5, and they score 7. Cardinals under G score 6, so it's 7-6 after 1. Second one, second quarter, 7 under F. It's another touchdown. It's 14-6. Chicago, 18 under G. It's a touchdown. So it's 14-13, close one. Third quarter for Pottsville. They roll a 7 under F. They score 7 more, 21 now. Chicago Cardinals. 6 under G. It's nothing. So we go to the fourth quarter with Pottsville up by 8. And they roll a 15 under F. It's a 0. Final roll for Chicago Cardinals is a 16 under G. They score 3. So that makes the score 21-16. That is within the close game factor. A touchdown and conversion. So that's within 7 points. So we got to institute the close game factor. Said Pottsville has 21 and 16 for the Chicago Cardinals. So the team that's trailing goes first. That's Chicago. They're going to add 6 to the die roll. So 15, that becomes a 21. And that is a touchdown. So that gives them 10. And there is no asterisk next to this. That means Pottsville does not have another chance. And they lose this final game, the biggest game of their season. 23 to 21, and finish the season 11-1 compared to their 10-2 real life record. So in our replay, they lost the championship on the field. If this was in fact a championship game, well, we'll say it was, because we don't know what. I didn't roll dice for Chicago's every game, but quick little game. I kind of took my time with it, and just wanted to celebrate the stolen championship of the Pottsville Maroons that occurred 100 years ago. If you hung out with me, I appreciate it. And I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.